Thank you, Mr. Chair. Been sitting here listening for a while, and the first thing I'd like to say for my colleagues that are still here in the room is an observation about this committee. I've been on this committee now, this is my third term here, and I would really hope that my colleagues would remember the respect for the chair, and when the chair says rules or puts down the gavel, to respect that as members of Congress, being gentlemen and women of this body. Because we are grown, and we need to keep our emotions and our actions in check while we are in this room. That's just a plea and an admonition of my colleagues. Mr. Kerner, I wanted to ask you a couple of things. You said that you were not in this office previously, and there's been some discussion about the Obama administration. I understand that you weren't counsel during there, but the OSC did not recommend that President Obama fire Secretary Sebelius or Secretary Castro, but did recommend that President Trump fire Kellyanne Conway. OSC did not give a specific recommendation for discipline in its first report to President Trump about Kellyanne Conway. Is that correct?
Just appropriate discipline from the statute, yes.
And initially, Conway was treated just the same as other officials. The difference is now that Conway refuses to change her behavior and President Trump refuses to discipline her. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And your motivation in having this is because you're doing your job. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
The job that the president appointed you to.
Correct.
And the fact that this president, President Trump, appointed you to this position means that it's a little uncomfortable for you to be disciplining or recommending this of your own side. Is that not correct?
To tell you the truth, I don't feel like I really have a side at this point. I'm an independent agency head. I try to be as nonpartisan as possible.
So that's interesting because I've been in your position. I was counsel on the House Ethics Committee where we had to be nonpartisan during the time that we were there. We had members on both sides of the aisle. And you have to act in that manner. Afterwards, I actually went and worked in the Bush administration, the Justice Department. But the time that you're there, you act in a manner that's nonpartisan. So in doing that, and because you are in that position now, do you believe that Ms. Conway has in fact violated the law?
Absolutely.
And if an individual allows her not to face those charges, are they in some respect aiding and abetting that individual in continuing to be in violation of the law?
You know, I would, as a former criminal prosecutor, I would stay away from aiding and abetting. I think that sounds more like a criminal case.
But some of these are referred to
Yes.
for criminal prosecution, are they not?
Absolutely, but this,
And if it were referred to criminal prosecution because she did not, in fact, change her behavior, had been advised, put on notice that she was, in fact, violating the law, an individual who continues to support her in violating that would, in fact, be aiding and abetting in some respect?
I think under the statute, the president's entitled to impose the discipline. That's part of the statute. So the president's choice and what discipline he imposes is really up to him.
So, but if a president does not, a president can impose the punishment, but if a president tells the person to continue to violate the law, that is not what the president has been allowed to do under the law, is it not?
Yes, I don't know that that's happening here, but yes, the president shouldn't tell anyone.
So the
to violate.
president has not told her that that this law does not apply to her and that we are in fact violating her free speech, and so that she can continue doing and saying what she has done?
I do believe the White House counsel has taken that position.
And the White House counsel is appointed by whom?
They work for the president.
For the President of the United States.
That's correct.
So the President has, de facto, allowed this individual, Kellyanne Conway, to continue to violate the law by doing this. Because let's not get caught up in this ambiguity, the discussion of Mr. Meadows and Mr. Raskin about let's come together in a bipartisan manner to fix this because it's not clear. If she was not clear, you've given her opportunity to come and sit with you and to discuss what that ambiguity is, have you not?
Absolutely.
And she has not followed that advice or sought that counsel from you, has she?
She has not.
So in the letter that you've given, you state in there, Congress passed the Hatch Act. It recognized the inevitability that senior advisors to the president, such as Ms. Conway, would involved in campaign activity. And then later you say, or they could use their positions to secure television interviews, and rather than focus exclusively on the work of the administration, use that platform to engage in partisan attacks against political opponents. So when the communication that they're using with the public is by whatever device, be it television, Twitter account, Facebook account, they're communicating with the public, and they're supposed to do it on policy, and they are not. And since I'm not objective, since I do not have the Hatch Act, which allows me to say and do whatever I want to say that what's going on is in fact a hot mess.